Hi. In section 4, we're going to spend some time talking about communication. Communication is really an important piece to just kind of stop and pause and think about to make sure that you're doing it effectively, just because it's such an important piece, especially in your role, because you're going between so many different environments. You're working in school, out in the community with different businesses. So you're having a lot is falling on you to be able to communicate and be that bridge between the community, the business, the teacher, the school, the family. And so it's important to just kind of think about the best way to go about to do that. And there's definitely some tips and tricks to help make that go smoother. It's important too, just to be able to create some time and space and figure that out with the business that you're working with the teacher that you're working with, so that you do have that collaboration time to come back and communicate as to what's going on at school, the job, the progress that's happening, and to be able to share anything that may be coming up while out on the job site. And everybody has a different style of communication. Some may prefer written communication or documentation. Some may want to just meet face to face and talk through some things, or maybe, a combination of both. And so it's important to get to know the teachers that you're working with may all have a different style to communicate with you. Each business may have a preferred method. So it is important to figure that out ahead of time before going on the job, and just know the best way to approach a person, a business, a situation when you do need to communicate something. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about that. And just remembering that communication is a two-way street too, so that it's a space and time for not only for you to communicate progress and anything that may be coming up at the time, but also to be able to hear anything that's going on in the business and school as well. One of the things I wanted to just touch upon too when it comes to communication, again, always check with your district policy. And even within your district, check with the school that you're working with, the teacher that is perhaps the case manager for the student that you're working with. Each district has a little bit different policy. Often, districts and teachers will be the one that will communicate progress or any issues that may be arising or concerns or questions, sharing what's going well. That's an important piece of communication too. But they may have a policy on who does that communication with families. And again, it's important to take in the family's communication style and what works for them. And in all of this, the confidentiality is always important with communication, whether you're writing it on paper to make sure that it's not visible or laying around where other people may be able to see it. For sure, when you're having conversations, you want to make sure that they are in an appropriate space and with the appropriate person at the business, and not where other people can overhear anything that may disclose any identifications with the student. So that's an important piece to always keep in mind, really, in all pieces of your work. So as an overview for section 4, we are going to talk a little bit about oral and written communication, just some tips and tricks of what to keep in mind when communicating in both styles. And then also nonverbal communication is such an important piece that sometimes we don't think about. And it's a nice thing. I even reflect upon myself. How am I standing? What is that projecting or communicating to the student or the business person? So just kind of some reminders on the importance of that. And also the person first language, really making sure that you are using the appropriate terms, vocabulary when you're talking to an employer. And maybe that's a piece that you have to help the employer on and can work through together. But just to make sure that you are using that person first language. And we'll take some time just talking about what that even is. And then when communicating, again, you're in the businesses, you're in the school, you're working with students. We'll go over just a couple things that are helpful in each of those areas. And then at the end of the section, we'll have a little activity to connect all of this work back to your work to really make it relevant to you and help put into practice some of these tips and tricks. So thank you.